Whew, God, it's freezing. Whew, much better. What's going on, everybody? D. Manzano here. Thank you once again for clicking on my movie review. Today, I will be talking about The Grinch. And as always, if you don't know this already, when I review a children's movie, after I give my thoughts, I'm going to bring my children in so they can give their thoughts too. Just because an adult doesn't like the movie does not mean that the kids won't as well. So make sure you stick around to the very end of the review. That way you can see what kids think about the movie as well. Intro, please. Who doesn't know the story of the Grinch already, right? He's a green, grumpy, hairy man who hates Christmas. And not only does he hate Christmas, he wants to steal Christmas from all of the Whos in Whoville. Now look, I've waited 3 days to do this review because I didn't want to speak out of emotion or say something while I was in the moment. But after waiting 3 days and still feeling the exact same way as I did when I left the theater, I've realized it's time to tell the truth. This is just my opinion, but I think this movie is a joke. It's awful, and it's nothing but a cash grab. And if you don't want to sit here for the next few minutes and listen to me trash this movie, I completely understand if you want to just click off of this video. But if you do want to stick around and listen to my frustration that I have with Illumination and their sorry excuse for a Grinch movie, well then, here we go. Let's first start with the Grinch's relationship with the Whos and Whoville. Whatever source material you can go back and look at for the Grinch, it doesn't matter. One thing remains the same. The Grinch does not like the Whos and Whoville. He actually hates them. There's no relationship to be had between him and any of them, period. In Jim Carrey's version, I like how they even touched on how the Whos feel about the Grinch. They don't like him either. They're afraid of him. Don't go up to the mountain. Stay away from the Grinch. But in this movie, he's walking around Whoville like he's just one of the other citizens, getting his groceries, passing by other Whos, and the Whos aren't even afraid of him. Even one of the Whos in the grocery store is like, "Excuse me, Grinch, can you reach up there and grab that jelly for me?" They feel comfortable enough around him to ask him for favors. The Grinch socializes with some of them, having nice, friendly conversations. Do you see the problem with this? There's nothing set in stone to show us that the Grinch does not like the Whos from Whoville. So how am I supposed to care or believe him later on down the road when he does make the decision to steal Christmas? Which leads me to talk about his personality. He's voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, who I actually really like seeing in movies. But here's my problem with Benedict at this moment. There's absolutely zero effort put into his voice acting for this film. And that's a damn shame. When somebody comes to you and tells you they want you to play the Grinch, as an actor, the possibilities of how you can pull this character off should be endless. The fun you could have with this character, right? But no, Benedict literally gives no personality, no charisma, no energy, no grumpiness, no anger. He 100% just talks like a regular guy. I think he was the worst choice ever to voice an animated character, especially to voice the Grinch. The Grinch himself didn't even seem that bothered. He doesn't come off as the guy whose heart is 2 sizes too small. He's not in a bad mood at all, really, in the entire film. Maybe like 2 small moments, but besides that, he seems to be in a pretty happy, non-hating Christmas mood. And I could not care less about him or his reason for hating Christmas. It didn't hit my heart the way the Jim Carrey version did. You remember when it showed the Grinch as a little boy and he had this huge crush on that girl, made her a homemade Christmas present. All the kids in class were making fun of him because he had a beard.
You don't have a chance with her. You're 8 years old and you have a beard.
So he shaved his beard, but he cut his face and went to school and got laughed at even more by the entire class. By that time, he was humiliated in front of his crush. His heart was broken. And when he picked up that Christmas tree and screamed, "I hate Christmas," you believed him.
I hate Christmas!
You felt bad for him. At that moment, you truly understood where the hatred came from. And on top of that, when he was invited back to Whoville to participate in the games that they were playing and he won, what was his prize? A razor. All of those things put together made it very believable when he decided to steal Christmas. But in this movie, not only does he come off as a nice guy and in a pretty good mood all the way up to the Christmas stealing idea, we're eventually shown a flashback. Spoiler alert if you care. The flashback shows us that the Grinch was in an orphanage and one morning he woke up and the orphanage did not put a Christmas tree up and didn't put any presents on the ground. And that's it. That's why he decides to steal Christmas. For what? What did the Whos and Whoville do to you? You're friends with most of them. You walk around with them. You haven't shown an ounce of hatred toward any of them the entire movie, besides knocking a jar of jelly off of a shelf. So by the time that moment happens in the movie, it's not believable. And all of this stuff matters when telling this story, because in the end, when we see the Grinch's heart grow 3 times bigger, that's supposed to be a very heartfelt moment. And the only way for this to be a heartfelt moment is if I care. And I didn't. I'm gonna keep going back to the Jim Carrey version just to show you the difference. Jim Carrey's version of the Grinch was so grumpy, and he hated the Who so much that by the time his heart finally did grow 3 times bigger, it was a big deal. Remember this?
Help me! I'm feeling.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
That was a wonderful scene, and when it happened, the audience cared. Yet here in this movie, when his heart grows, it just zooms into his body, it shows his heart grow bigger, zooms back out, and says, Max, we have to get these gifts back to Whoville. That's it. There's no emotional scene, there's no heartstrings being pulled, and you know why they didn't do that? Because they couldn't. And you wanna know why they couldn't? Because the Grinch hasn't been grumpy the entire movie. The way he starts acting after his heart grows is exactly how he's been acting before his heart grew. There's no attitude difference. And I hate the excuse that people make, oh, well, they didn't make this for adults, they made this for children. Let me tell you something, that is such a horrible excuse for having a bad movie. Kids aren't stupid. You'd be surprised how smart they are. You can do your best to tell a great story, and most of the time a kid will understand it and they'll enjoy it. You don't have to spoon feed everything to them. Illumination, the company, is more focused on vivid colors and cute animals than they are with storytelling. And you know what? That works for the little kids right now. But in 5 to 10 years, those kids are gonna grow up a little bit. They're gonna look back and they're gonna rewatch that movie and realize that movie really wasn't that good. And they'll forget about it. And they'll never watch it again. While old movies, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, will still be playing at every household during every December. And you know what? I think Illumination knows that. And they're fine with it, which proves my point, that this is nothing but a quick cash grab. And for that, Illumination, I say, shame on you. Oh, they didn't make the Grinch grumpy and hateful because they're making this Grinch for the kids. Then just leave the story alone. If you're not gonna tell the story correctly, then don't tell the story at all. There's plenty of other books that haven't had movies done yet that you could make vivid creations out of. You had no problem making the Lorax a very grumpy, mean old guy. Think about that. What's the excuse now? Why was the Lorax more of a Grinch than the Grinch himself? There was no love put into this movie. No care at all. But hey, the animation is spectacular. Huh? Right? Great animation. Is that all we're supposed to care about now, every time we go see an animated movie?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Nothing about this feels magical like the original did. It doesn't even feel that festive or put you in the Christmas mood. Cindy Lou Who used to be such a sweet, lovable, and charming child, and in this, they just turned her into one of the other little kids from Despicable Me. You don't care about her at all. In the old one, when you found out that all Cindy Lou Who wanted was for the Grinch to be happy on Christmas, that was beautiful. Everyone in Whoville hated the Grinch and could care less how he felt on Christmas. But Cindy Lou Who didn't want him to be alone. That's heart-touching. In this one, Cindy Lou Who wants her single mom to be happy on Christmas because she works so hard for everyone else. Give me a break. Here's the crazy thing. In this movie, Cindy Lou Who's mom is happy. There's not one scene in this movie that showed me otherwise. She doesn't come off as a depressed single mom who's hating life because she has to work so hard. This film doesn't show anything like that. She seems like a very happy, full of life mother who loves her kids and doesn't seem distressed one bit. At the very beginning of the movie, there's one clip of her on a bus showing that she was tired from work. That's it. The writing and directing of this movie make no sense. I could keep going on and on for another 30 minutes talking about other things that I didn't like, but I'm not gonna do that. I think I've said enough. Again, I think this movie's a joke. They took everything that's beloved with the original cartoon and Jim Carrey's version and threw it out the window. And if you ask me, Dr. Seuss is probably rolling over in his grave right now. But if you are still with me right now and you've made it to the end of the video, as I said before, I'm gonna go grab my daughters, bring them in here so they can give you their opinions. If you don't know how this works, I have not told my children how I felt about this movie yet. So they are gonna give an honest child's opinion. The only thing I will say is that after we returned from the movie theater, I did let them sit down and watch the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch as well. That way that could be fresh in their head and the other one could be fresh in their head. So they'll definitely be able to compare the two and tell you which one they like more as a child. So, let me go get my kids. I'll be right back. All right, so these are my daughters, Zoey and Ellie. And are you girls not freezing?
Yes.
Where are your jackets at?
There's that.
No problem. Let's get on with this review, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so first question, Zoey, what did you think about the movie?
It was pretty good.
Pretty good. Ellie, what did you think about the movie?
Little good.
Little good?
Yeah.
What do you mean by little good?
I don't know.
Okay, so you said it was pretty good. Okay, so what did you like about it?
I like how the Grinch was playing the piano, and then the dog was playing his little drum, and then there was the other part when he was fixing his hair, he was twirling it, and the dog was and he did the same thing to his.
Okay, here's a good question. What part was funny for you?
The one where the goat screamed.
The goat screaming?
Yeah.
That made me laugh too.
Okay.
That's the part that you thought was funny?
Yeah.
Any other parts?
When the goat screamed, but when all the reindeers ran away.
So the goat was the main thing that made you laugh in the movie.
Yeah.
Ellie, what are you doing? You want me to hold you?
Yes.
Would you watch this movie again?
Yes.
You would?
Yeah. One time I said.
You would just watch it one time?
Yes.
Would you watch the movie again?
I'll be the same way Andy does.
All right, now this is probably the most important question I'm going to ask you, and you can be completely honest. Which Grinch movie do you like the most? The new cartoon movie or the old one that you watched at home?
The old one. It was the best one. The old one.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you like about the old one?
How he showed his heart, the love.
I love that scene.
And the girl cared for the
Cindy Lou Who
Grinch.
cared for the Grinch.
Yeah, but in the cartoon when we saw the movie video, she doesn't care about nobody except for her mom and Santa Claus.
That's not a bad thing, but I get what you're saying.
I know.
All right, so I think I kind of understand what's going on here. So the new one, it's not bad.
But
It's just not.
really what it's supposed to be.
It's not really what it's supposed to be. It doesn't. You don't like it as much as you did when you watched the old one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought really the Grinch was going to be grumpy.
Well, I think that pretty much does it. Thank you, girls, for your help. I really appreciate it. Say bye to everybody.
Bye! We see you on our next video.
All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. And hey, I know some of you are gonna look at the box office numbers and make that the justifiable reason why you think that this movie worked well with audiences. And that, to me, is ridiculous. Nobody's arguing that this movie's gonna make money. It's an animated movie. Parents are gonna take their kids to go see this film regardless. But D, it made $66 million on its opening box office weekend. Yeah, well, so did Cars 2. And if you've ever seen that, I'm sure you'd agree that making a lot of money did not make that a better movie. But that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope I didn't come off as too much of a ranting guy. If you enjoyed the review, please, as always, hit the subscribe button. give me a like, comment down below. Am I being too harsh, or do you agree with me? Other than that, my work here is finished. I'm gonna go cuddle up in a blanket somewhere, so I'll see you on the next movie review.